let's go to Eric Metaxas. He's sort of the Curly Joe of the Three Stooges that we normally see on Flashpoint. He famously, when he was off on his own before he joined the Flashpoint folks, and I think this is directly from his thing. We'll see if it's in his office, but he has a big like cardboard cutout of Donald Trump that he had behind him all the time, and it was all just like, it was a little shrine that he was running. This is disturbing. The Eric Metaxas radio show. Biden's willful destruction of America and the left's demonization of Trump. I gotta say, if they're demonizing, if the left is demonizing him, I would say, I don't know that it takes much work. I mean, they could kind of do it as a hobby because the dude was friends with Jeffrey Epstein for more than 2 decades. Ben Shapiro has a rap video. Oh dear. We'll find it. It'll happen. Don't worry. Okay, so let's check out. This is the Trinity Broadcast Network. So this is on the Jesus channel. Is this where he's in like the, I don't pre-watch these things because fuck these guys, but is this where he's in that like giant Huckabee looking studio by himself?
That this year it seems inevitable.
The Lord plays piano behind me because my words sink into your brain like hypnosis as long as there is a mild, repetitive, drony, bullshit, royalty-free melody playing behind the words of the Lord.
That we're going to have some horrifying event as a result of that. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. But you're hoping.
But if you let anybody come across our border.
Anybody at all? So all the people that came across. So one of these people might have been one of the people that came across while Trump was president? Shit.
Things are going to happen. And that blood.
Wow. Things are going to happen?
Will be on the hands of Joe Biden.
Well, just because just something happens doesn't mean it's going to be bloody. You think everything that happens is bloody? Also, the museum closed 2 hours ago, sir. You're not allowed to. Can you please? That desk is an art installation.
He won't notice because his hands are already so bloody. But I just want to.
Yeah, that's true. It would mix in with all the other blood from the. I think he's just wearing his hands down from work. Now, obviously, I'm just going to. Far be it from me, but you might not want to bring up bloody hands considering Trump's like syphilitic fingertips. You know what I mean?
Here I am like an idiot.
Because that's what calls to mind.
Say that if you have these kinds of policies, you're going to be guilty for that. I'm sitting here with Al.
If you have these kind of policies, you're going to be guilty for that. What if, real quick, what if hold on. Let me give you an example. Let's see if I can just. Oops. See if I can do this. What about like this kind of a policy? Deep in the, I should probably read this in my deep book on tape voice. Deep in the Arizona wilderness, as daylight faded in the desert mountains, a boy stood on a narrow road holding a broken mirror. It was Thanksgiving Day 2007. Chris Buckleitner was 9 years old. The mirror had snapped off the side of his mother's van a few minutes earlier when she drove off the road and they went tumbling down a steep hill. Now his mother lay trapped in the crumpled van down the canyon. Chris had escaped from the van. Oh, sorry, I should probably, hold on, let's try this. That doesn't work, that's the wrong music, sorry. Down a steep hill. Now his mother lay trapped in the crumpled van down in the canyon. Chris had escaped from the van and climbed up to look for help. They were a few miles from the Mexican border. Chris had recently seen a Border Patrol helicopter, and he hoped to use the mirror as a signaling device. Smart fucking kid, by the way. and he hoped to use the mirror as a signaling device, but the helicopter was nowhere in sight. His mother's cell phone was out of range. Chris was lonely, afraid, running out of ideas. And then, in the gathering dusk, he saw a stranger approaching. A man had come from Mexico. He'd crossed the border illegally, planning to start a new life. He'd been separated from his companions as they dodged authorities and the criminals who prey on migrants in the desert. But he was still free, and if he caught a few more breaks, he could make it to Tucson or Phoenix and find the kind of job he needed to support his family back home. Now this man had a choice to make. He could keep going, safe for now from the Border Patrol, and leave the boy on his own, or he could stay, help the boy, and risk getting caught by the same people he'd been evading for the last 3 days. Manuel Cordova's decision would have profound consequences for them both. Later, when the story got out, it would be invoked in the highly charged national debate about the costs and benefits of illegal immigration. That conversation would intensify in the years that followed, but as night fell on Forest Service Road 39, political arguments did not matter. There was only a boy who needed protection, a woman who needed rescuing, and a man who appeared to be their only hope. True story. So, real quick, let's just say something like that happens, and someone crosses the border, that gets in while Biden's president, saves that woman's life. Does he get credit for that one? You guys like that voice? I'll read stuff in the future from that. I could probably do an entire separate show.
Ben Sadar.
What? Who?
The author of a book titled Obvious.
Obvious.
And the subtitle is Seeing the Evil That's in Plain Sight and Doing Something About It.
Why would you bother to write a book? Hi. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. This is going to be a long show. I got an espresso. Iced espresso. They made my tongue fail. That was so sharp. Yeah, that's a couple shots of espresso over ice. Goodbye, sleep. Hello, Tuesday. Why would you write a book called Obvious? When I don't know if you ever tried to sell a book. Maybe Tara could talk about this, and certainly our dear friend Ginger in the chat could talk about this. But publishers are always going, who is this audience for, and why does this book need to be written? With a title like Obvious, I don't know that do you need to write that book? It's a book no one dared to write. What was it? Well, it's just a series of obvious observations with no clear direction or purpose. Sort of a toilet book. It's one of those things, if you put it next to the toilet, it's a guarantee your legs won't fall asleep.
So, Albin, the subtext here,
I'm very disappointed that this guy doesn't have a chipmunk voice now,
is that there are still people, many of them self-professed Christians, who just say,
fuck you.
I don't want to be combative. I don't want to be one of those people.
What do you mean? Fake Christians? You don't want to be like you?
I used to be like that.
You used to be a real Christian?
Well, I don't want to be like,
what happened?
those high.
Oh, gee, you traded it in for this lovely set, which is what is this from the Roadshow, dinner theater version of the Da Vinci Code?
Heads that talk about this stuff. Because I don't want the grief that comes along with it.
Yeah.
Well, here's the problem.
Life is grief.
That's called being a coward.
Wow. Christians are cowards. There you have it. Thanks, TBN. Good work.
And if you're a coward, you have to repent. There's no way around it.
You don't have to repent for being a coward. Fear isn't one of the 7 deadly sins, dumb fuck.
If you don't repent, then you continue to be a coward. And I think that we have to understand that, especially if you live in the United States of America, God calls us to stand for what is right and true and good. People
And so you just avoid it? You just decided not to? Me called you and what'd you do, hang up?
have fought in wars to preserve the
Not him.
union, to preserve our way of self-government and liberty for all. It's a beautiful thing.
Yes, which I know you didn't, and I'm pretty sure he didn't.
And there are many people, and I write about it in my book, Letter to the American Church, who have this idea that I don't need to do anything like that. I just need to
trust God's path and know that it's in his hands. And I don't know, some weird religious bullshit.
stay in my little theological lane and talk about Jesus. And Jesus didn't just talk about Jesus. Jesus
No, he did break out a couple times. Like when he said, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, which means pay your taxes and follow the law of the land. And then he said a bunch of pussy bullshit like turn the other cheek and love thy neighbor and love your enemy as yourself. And you know what I mean? Like just blech.
didn't just preach the gospel. Jesus spoke
Hung out with a hooker.
truth.
Yeah, but he could do that because he couldn't die.
Uncomfortable truth that made a lot of people so angry at him that they wanted to kill him.
Yeah, but since he's God's son, he knew he could survive death. That was kind of he's just got one up on the rest of us. The rest of us are, we just got the one shot at it. He gets a do-over, and it's a lot. I'm just saying, it's a little easier to be brave when you know your dad is God and you can't die. I'm just saying, it like anybody ever play like Doom with God mode where you had like all the ammo you wanted and stuff? Quite frankly, it got a little boring after a while, but were you ran into those rooms and you didn't give a rat fuck who was in there, did you?
And I think we have to embrace that and have to understand that God calls us not to love our lives.
I would say, for the record, I know personally because I talk to God all the time, and he calls you a dick.
But to love him.
Yes.
And to give our lives over to his purposes.
Right. And then if he says, rest in the peace that I have a plan and it will carry it out, and you need only walk the straight and narrow and leave everything else up to me, you can go, fuck you. I want to go mock somebody's gender, Lord.
And when you're living in a crazy time like we are now, where
unlike what do you mean? As opposed to the crazy times not like now?
the last election was stolen.
Well, hey, everything's part of God's plan. You take it up with the big guy.
And where the left is no longer the party of Tip O'Neill, it's not even the party of Bill Clinton. They have become, in effect, cultural Marxist leftists who will do literally anything.
No, not literally anything. Or wouldn't you? Well, why would you be alive? Seriously, why would you or Alex Jones or Glenn Beck? Why would if our side would literally do anything? Misuse of the word literally being the problem here, I think, primarily. But if we could literally do anything, we would literally do anything. How are you still alive? Seriously, why aren't we going full Putin on you? Why aren't you falling out windows or getting sprayed in the face with Balthorium G?
And who,
by the way, none of which I recommend, but I'm just saying bullshit.
Our intent, this is where it gets crazy.
You know what's crazy? Two men sitting in a set that big with no audience. Where the fuck are you?
Who are obviously intent in destroying America as we know it.
Yeah.
No, here's a good idea. Maybe they're not destroying America as you know it. Maybe you have a fucked up view of what America is, and it was never that way, and you're hoping to make it that way and failing miserably. Just a thought. Just run that. Maybe just, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be in the lazy Susan of ideas that's just sort of drifting through your transom. Maybe throw that one on there so that it comes by every so often and you get a whiff of it.
And I try to deal with the Christian aspect and getting involved in politics with many chapters in my book.
What do you just say? You recommend them reading the Bible and leave it at that because you trust in the Lord's message and who are you to supersede, his plan? Sorry.
Obvious. One of them particularly is called, does thou shalt not steal apply to elections? Christians, are you allowed to steal all kinds of things, but if you stole election, well, we'll give you a mulligan or a pass or whatever they say.
Okay, first of all, this is better applied to the prohibition on bearing false witness, you lying sack of shit. Secondly, his argument is that Christians aren't the ones that stole the election. Christians are the ones that are on the side of Donald Trump. So did they steal the election from him by letting Joe Biden's voters swamp them? Or I'm sorry, we have to, what do we have to do?
We have to slab it.
Right, to slab him.
Hey, so I address those things specifically, and
No, you don't. It's just fucking lame allegory.
there are.
You can't even say your fucking title well.
I have a section here where I talk about
Whoa, do you? This is going to be good. Hopefully you will land this as well as you landed the last one.
mic drop moments of Jesus.
Mic drop moments. Mic drop a moment of Jesus. He's going to drop that microphone. Jesus dropped his microphone. Jesus came down here and said he was in a rap battle. All right. Mic drop moments. Jesus Christ. And the meek shall inherit the earth. Fuck you. Yeah. My dad's God. Bunk. Turn the other cheek, bitches. Thud.
Jesus will say something and
And you guys won't listen at all.
boom, nothing else can be said because he just spoke truth, as it were, to power. If anyone spoke truth to power, it was Jesus, but he
What are you talking about? He was the Son of God. He was the power. That's the point. Nobody gets through heaven except through me. Jesus Christ, you're the... What? Truth to power? Are you out of your fucking mind?
would do it in kind of a clever way. Sometimes
Kinda. I mean, that's the thing about Jesus. He was always trying to, he's always trying to be...
Asshole.
No, trying to be clever. I was going to say clever, Mike Pillow. That's not right. Just take your lumpy pillows and get the fuck out of here.
Lumpy pillows, kiss my ass.
Oh, God, I don't... Donald, can you come do something? This guy's such a foul
He
mouth.
can do things with his tongue you wouldn't believe it.
Oh, dear.
I don't know if this applies to Jesus, but
I hate you. Lord, I'm sorry you taught us not to hate, but I hate him, Lord. I hate his ass face. I hate his stupid fucking attitude and his bullshit and his rambliness and his dumb book, and I hate him. I hate him, Lord. I'm not going to do anything to him. I'm not going to harm him in any way. I'm going to turn the other cheek when he's not looking, and I'm going to give him a Rudy Giuliani. That's what I'm going to do. But I hate him, Lord. He's a prick. This is ridiculous. Come get your boy.
sometimes you get a sense that some of it's whimsical.
Yeah, that was the thing. Jesus just kicked, in between healing lepers and raising the dead and walking on water, he had a kind of a little spring in his step. He got a little soft shoe. It was whimsical. These are quotes from Jesus's cane period, where he walked with a cane and tended to, when he would do a miracle, he would. How is there not like, I'm not asking for a lightning strike, but how is there not like just, here's an idea, God. I know this is, lightning strike's a bit much, but how about just like thousands of uncooked hot dogs just fall on him, and they've all been kind of sitting on the counter for a couple of days, so they're easily breakable, and as they hit him, they just kind of turn into this pink sludge of smelly hot dog water and filth. You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be something between nothing and lightning. And I'm just saying that, can we, I'm not asking, I don't ask much and I don't ask often.
Almost like Jesus has a little wink in his eye.
Please, whatever. No one share this video with John Fugel saying he will explode.
When he even addresses the Pharisees and takes them up on things like whose image is on the coin? Give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's. You know, it's like,
yeah, I mean, it's the loose. I mean, it's not exactly what he said, but it's close enough. I mean, it sounds like a dumb version of what he said, and that's fine. And you know, this is the face you make after you egg that simple quote.
Gotcha.
It's so powerful, and
it is powerful. It is powerful, especially when you read it backwards, like I am.
And part of the good news of
I like to read. You know, I read the end first. That's why I'm all Revelations, no Genesis. You know what I'm saying?
what we're going through in America and in the world at this time is it's waking many people up.
To the fact that you're wearing Trump orange on your face. Your neck is sort of a normal color. Your face is that weird fucking circus peanut orange.
Who have been asleep.
Yes.
And I always say that there's kind of like,
You mean they're like, what's the word? Woke?
how do I put it?
Don't try. Because however you find a way to put it, it will be stupid. It will be wrong, and it will be antithetical to the very message that you think you're conveying.
To some extent,
Oh boy.
you know, you can wake up a little bit.
Shit. You can be a little bit woke. Woke-ish. I call it wokely. Woke, yeah. Smidge of wokishness. You know what I mean?
And then you can wake up even more and even.
Yeah. And then it's like if Jesus is your snooze alarm, and every time you hit him, a nail goes in his hand. It's like that. This dude.
And more and even more. And I think
What
a lot
is
of people
happening?
were a little bit awake, but
This is great. I've never pre-watched this, but this is this is stupid. This is amazingly dumb.
what happened with the election being stolen, they
Just bring it back. Say something the maggots will want to hear. I've drifted. I don't know where I am.
just said, now, wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Never mind. I did 5 more minutes. Click. Ow! Fuck you.
That's part of my story. It's like, now, wait a minute.
Yeah, is that the name of your autobiography? Now, wait a minute. Hang on.
Yeah.
What? We're not going to have that in America.
Well, see,
I don't know what he said, neither do you. Don't pretend. No, quit it. Somebody there thinks they know, like, they made sense of the last, like, 5 sentences out of that fool's face. You didn't. You didn't. You did not. You didn't. You're like, no, you don't. You're filling in the gaps because you're a good person and you're smart and you're trying to, you're attributing skill and meaning where there is none. I appreciate you. I'm glad you're trying, but no.
that's the thing. I thought to myself, why do people still not believe 2020 was stolen? Why? And
Because it
I
wasn't?
thought to myself, you know why? I think
Because it
the
wasn't.
number one reason people would
Because the only people that still stick to it are idiots, and you check all the boxes.
fall back on is that doesn't happen in America.
Right.
Well, it hasn't yet.
I think most people think that has third world countries, that happens over
Yeah.
there, that happens in communism. They don't realize that we've already come down that far.
So Trump didn't really win Iowa and New Hampshire? I don't know. I mean, I feel like you should probably write a letter then.
They've been blindsided, and it's something Glenn Beck talked about years and
And just when you thought it couldn't get any dumber.
years ago about the top down and bottom up. What's been happening is the top has been pressing down on us with their kind of communistic viewpoints, and from the bottom in the schools, grade schools even,
The upper 1% and their commies. Yeah, the 1% of commies.
they're starting to teach the communist stuff. So the kids
You mean like sharing and patience and waiting your turn, stuff like that? Fucking commie bullshit like that.
growing up,
Math is commie. That's why Trump is trying to, fight back against math in court. He's not cheating on his taxes. He's fighting communism in math.
they think, oh, this is okay, that America's a bad place. And from the top, it's like, oh, yeah, we've done some bad things, and we're gonna fundamentally transform this country. And before you know it, we're fundamentally transformed. A lot of people think it's like turning up the heat on the frog. Oh, it's getting warmer and warmer, but, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Well, again,
Fucking, that's what it is. All boils down to these lazy, bullshitting, fake Christians who won't buy his book. Like a bunch of you assholes. How dare you? You're just a bunch of boiling frogs, and you don't even realize you've only got a little while to read his book, which, should have been called The Water's Boiling, Jump Out, Jump Froggy Jump. Something like that.
there have been things so bad that it's waking people out of their stupor.
You mean like the tuberculosis epidemic or the Civil War? Or
It's like they're sleepwalking, and then suddenly, bang, they bump into a wall.
right, and then you don't wake them up though, because they'll kill you. Yeah, you never wake up a sleepwalking person who just walked into a wall. I think that's actually the third sign that someone's a serial killer.
For many people, the stolen election was that wall. For some people,
Yeah. But in fairness, those people walk into walls when they're not asleep.
the vaccine stuff,
Yes.
that you don't even question. You think, wait a minute. What do you mean, don't question? That you're asking me to put something experimental in my body, and
Well, you did it with that rubber device with the big attachment that has the oscillator on it or whatever that takes D batteries, and you didn't squat. Well, you did squat.
bodies of my children, my pregnant wife, and I'm not supposed to question. When they said don't,
Of course you are. You can ask your doctor if you have any medical issues. You could get a pass or you could get a diversion. They would let you know. You could get tests run to see. You could certainly get a medical exemption. People got religious exemptions as well. Right? I'm sorry. Did I sleep through that part and walk into that wall myself? Or does everybody remember all the fucking wind up with all the people who were getting religious exemptions when they hadn't gotten religious exemptions for other diseases like measles and whooping cough and shit like that?
question it, that's when a lot of people said, you know what? Now I'm going to question it because you told me I couldn't do that. This is
All right. They didn't tell you couldn't do that. They told you it was unnecessary, and you could always ask your doctor. And nobody told you couldn't question it. You just couldn't go online and say it was part of some big depopulation scheme.
America. We have every right to question it.
Yes. Ask all the questions you want. But questions end with a question mark, you dumb fuck.
The authoritarian lockdowns.
They weren't authoritarian at all. Could you go outside? Could you run around the neighborhood? Could you go to places that were open? Could you go to the grocery store? I was the designated grocery store guy in our house. I was the sacrificial lamb. If we needed food, guess who ran out and fucking got it? I didn't pass any police checkpoints, and neither did you.
On and on and on over the last 3 years. What Biden did,
The last 3 years? Jesus Christ, man.
the nightmare, historical, unprecedented nightmare of what happened in Afghanistan.
What do you mean, us? The historical nightmare of us staying there for 21 years and it taking somebody like Biden to finally get us out?
A border that is open, that any
Yeah, it's not.
Anyone,
Yes.
any wicked actor, and they're
Wait a minute. You mean wicked like fucking bro? Just wicked, just so good, like, awesome. Oh, I'm gonna have your job, shithead. Oh, I cross the border anytime I want. That kind of like good wicked or like bad wicked, like Danny Masterson.
there are plenty of them out there. They're saying, you know what? This would be a sweet time
Yeah.
to come into the United States. Nobody's going to check because they're so dumb that they.
And then what do you know? They check, and that person tries to run and gets killed, or is captured and turned over to Interpol. Gee, I guess they shouldn't have watched the Eric Metaxas show for tips on being a good terrorist,
They're not going to check. They're going to let me in.
which didn't turn out to be the case.
This is the willful destruction of America by Joe Biden and company.
Yeah.
And company. Well, it's excuse me, that's Biden crime family to you.
And if you are not awakened by this, folks, you're
Going to run into a wall and then hit snooze and blame Jesus.
absolutely part of the problem. There's just no way around it.
Yeah. And the
You know, it's weird that these guys are alone in this studio. That shocks me now. You'd think this conversation is as exciting and as riveting and as important as it is, it would have a live audience of people just clamoring to hear every word.
the least you can
I'm almost done with this. I don't know how much more I can do. There's nothing. This is fucking. I think the most amazing thing about it is how lazy it is.
do is speak up. That's the absolute least you can do. If somebody
Yeah, just speak up, because obviously if the Illuminati runs everything and there's fucking, baby eating lizard people wearing human skins running the government, and every Democrat is a agent of Satan and stuff, I think that's the best time to just pipe up and see what happens.
says something that's really off, and you know it's off,
Yeah, like everything you've said so far in this stupid clip.
you don't have to get in their face. You don't have to start an argument.
Well, I mean, Jesus
You could
would.
just say, well, I don't think of it that way. And you
Is that enough? Really? Is it enough, though? Is it enough? So let me get this right. When you come up to me and tell me that the 2020 election was stolen, if I go, yeah, excuse me, I don't think of it that way, you're just going to stop with your stupid bullshit? Is that what's going to happen? Is that you're going to leave us the fuck alone? You're not going to bother anybody in my crowd, anybody in my chat room, anybody like that voted for Joe Biden. If they come up to you and go, hey, dude, the election wasn't stolen, you're just going to go, I don't think about it that way, and just leave them alone? Is that what you're going to do? Huh? That's the thing that'll make you Jesus adjacent?
I love it when Jesus said, have you considered the lilies of the field?
Lord? Why me, Lord? You're testing me. I know it.
He said, just think about this. This is something that's right in front of your face. This is something very obvious to everybody, how the lilies grow.
He's having a go at the flowers now.
And how God takes care of the sparrows and he takes care of this. You could just say to somebody, well, have you considered this viewpoint? And just let...
No. That's not what he's saying. He's saying the birds and the flowers don't give a shit, and life goes on, and God just takes care of it. So stop fucking worrying. Let go, experience some kind of detachment. He did train in the East for a little while, and fucking relax and shut the fuck up.
Let it sink in. You don't have to get mad or angry or bitter
Or write a stupid book, or oh shit.
or jump down somebody's throat, because unfortunately
What are you talking about? You're talking to Eric Metaxas.
nowadays it does not take a lot to, as they say, trigger somebody.
Dude, both of you guys are triggered. What are you talking about?
I mean, we see it in our own family that, you have to be careful.
Because no one in your family likes you anymore?
But you can also start with a little pushback and maybe.
Make up your fucking mind. Do I consider the lilies of the field, or do I push these fucking lilies around? I'll show you, you fucking lily. God damn it. Fucking lilies. Oh! Just like pull up one of the lilies. I have vanquished the lilies of the field. The Lord has told me to turn my plowshares into swords. Fuck the lilies. Fuck the lilies.
Could start to win somebody, you know?
Well, I think
No, you won't.
again we've got to do what we can do. There are
Yeah, I guess it's the least you can,
no guarantees, but
Nah.
you have to fight for what is right and good and true.
Yeah, like the right to party. Yeah, I agree. You got to fight for your right to party.
True. You have to do that. You have to.
Yeah, I know. You wake up late for school, man, you don't want to go. Yeah, ask your mom, please. But she still says no.
Get involved, and you have to stop buying the lie that I'm not supposed to be involved politically. Imagine
That's what Jesus said, fuckhead. That's what render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. That's what he's talking about. You're not. That's literally the purpose of that entire passage.
during the civil rights era,
Yeah.
if you said, you know what, that's not my battle. I don't care if blacks are treated like second-class citizens.
You would have been, that would have been exactly your position then. Let me show you. Women's rights to bodily autonomy. Go. See what I mean? Oops.
What a bum you would be
You bum.
if you said, "Oh, I just want to preach the gospel in my church." That would ruffle some feathers if I said that I think that we should do that. We should get involved in that.
Well, there's a difference between helping someone who has fewer rights than you do and arguing that the border is an invasion and that everybody that comes across it is a wicked monster. You do realize yeah. No, he doesn't. I'm sorry. I was about to say you do realize something, and then he doesn't. I'm like, he doesn't realize any of this shit at all.
In the time of slavery, I mean, look, just as they hate Trump, they hated Lincoln, right? They basically
No. We did not. First of all, none of us were alive then. Secondly, we don't hate Lincoln. Lincoln was a Republican in the old guard sense. Those people shifted over when the Dixiecrats jumped ship from the Democrats and moved over, and North and South flipped parties. So they hated him.
said
You guys.
he is going to he's a divider.
Yeah.
He's going to destroy this country.
You mean like the way you guys talked about Obama, for example?
At some point, you have to make a decision.
Well, it's funny because you
What decision? I agree. You do have to make a decision at some point. I mean, you can't have cake and a chocolate sundae. Yeah, you can. Never mind. I bet he's right. You can have both or whatever. Just as much as you can keep down. There's always room.
and I, being older, in our
Then what?
lifetime, we know this. We have never seen anyone hated so much as Donald Trump.
No.
Real quick. Just real quick. I think it's in the wash. I was going to find it. I have a shirt. And it's hold on. Just real quick. And it has, see if I can. And it has this on it. I found it. Bundy's last charge in life, January 1989, January 24th, 1989. This is the Ted Bundy shirts they were selling outside when he got the death penalty. They were selling it outside the prison. By the way, has this asshole ever heard of Jeffrey Epstein? I know Donald Trump has. How about Harvey Weinstein? How about Bill Cosby? How about Osama bin Laden? I mean, what they mean is this is the first time they've given a shit about somebody who was this hated because of what he did and who he was.
In fact, he's hated so much. If you were to ask somebody, who's the second most hated person in your lifetime, I bet you they couldn't think of somebody.
I just literally listed dozens, like half a dozen people. It wouldn't be hard at all. Seriously. You ask a bunch of kids right now, half of them will say Amber Heard. The other half will say Danny Masterson. Then they'll bring up Bill Cosby, maybe. Then, Epstein, Weinstein, Jesus Christ, the Golden State Killer. But let's go even back. How about Dennis Hastert, for fuck's sake?
The guy's hated so much, you can't even think of a close second, right?
No, but that's largely because my head isn't a fucking balloon.
Or
Well,
even a
anybody on the
second.
right will be demonized. So George Bush,
No, they won't.
anybody.
Also, define right. Just for the record, just define right. Yeah, Timothy McVeigh, Bernie Madoff. There you go. Timothy McVeigh would fall on the right. He would be on the right. Are we demonizing him? Roger Stone, there's another one.
Were hated. Reagan were hated.
No. Reagan was mocked. He had a political disdain from the other side and the back and forth. He talked shit about Democrats. It was always on a relatively even political scale. He didn't demonize the people he was up against. And by the way, Donald Trump always shits on Republicans far more than he does Democrats. For all the shit he talked about Hillary Clinton and about Joe Biden, it pales in comparison to how much shit he talks about the people he hired to be in his cabinet.
And that's kind of the irony, right? Is that they tried to play nice.
Yeah.
And they were, especially Bush, and they were absolutely excoriated viciously by the left. Trump
He's a douchebag. I'm sorry, not a douchebag. He's a
Asshole.
That's right.
again, it's part of what got me
To get help,
in a sense involved was I saw
in a sense.
the way the press treated him, the way the media treated him, and I said, you know what? You don't have
You know what? You can grab women by the pussy if you're a star. They let you do it. Listen to him. He was about to kiss this woman without permission, but you could hear him asking for a tic tac. I mean, he's a good guy. Just because look, anybody could be friends with a pedophile for 2 decades and have no idea. Happened to anybody.
to agree with me. You don't have to agree with him, but you have to be fair.
I think it's fair. I think primarily that's fair. I think it's fair to go, wait a minute. This dude partied with Jeffrey Epstein for 2 fucking decades, and we're supposed to believe he had no idea what that motherfucker was up to? But anybody who flew once or twice on his plane, then obviously, they're obviously all in. But Trump, who hung out with him all the fucking time, met his wife because of the dude's girlfriend, wished this woman who groomed teenage girls for this motherfucker, groomed these teenage girls, wished her well when she was going to jail.
And they were so unbelievably unfair and
Oh yeah? What's unfair about what I just said?
vicious. I just said, this can't stand. This
This aggression will not stand, man.
is America,
No, fuck it.
and we need to deal with the facts. If the guy is
Yes, it's a fact that he was friends with Jeffrey Epstein for 2 decades. He flew on the plane 6 times more than we were even aware of when he had flown on half a dozen times already. He flew fucking Eric on there when he was a kid. They would go back and forth all the time. They literally partied with each other. He sold this bullshit story that he kicked the guy out because he was making moves on one of the rich guys at Mar-a-Lago's daughters, and he was like, "That's not right. I don't like that kind of behavior." It turns out it was over a fucking piece of real estate, the very one he sold for like a ridiculous amount of money to a Russian oligarch who bulldozed the fucking place. That's fair. Also, want to talk fair? Where's his taxes?
He's a racist. If he is this or that or whatever, I'll be the first one to say I'm against that.
Against what? Calling him a racist?
I didn't suddenly change my view of adultery because I voted for Donald Trump.
You just didn't give a shit. You just went, well, you get 3, right?
Right.
But the point is that they demonized him and made up lies. The Russia collusion hoax, stuff we've never seen, a level of madness unleashed in America, and they pushed it and pushed it and pushed it and pushed it. That's when I said, look, this isn't right. If you're attacking somebody that
This isn't right. I'm going to get a cardboard cutout of this motherfucker and put it in my office.
much, that's kind of a tip-off to me. You've got something to hide.
Yeah, and it's just amazing to me.
All right, this is the last quote from these guys because can you imagine? Like, this started out as a way of them selling this book, and by the way, I was promised, like you were, Biden's willful destruction of America and the left's demonization of Trump. This just sounds like these two guys fucking whining.
Me too. When I was in college and all that, the press was the one that would always examine and look into and say, "Is this true?" It's like, the
Yeah, like the part about Paul Manafort working for Yanukovych, who was a Russian puppet, and Manafort being the guy who gave him the idea to use snipers on his own people during the Euromaidan, and his own daughters won't talk to him anymore because he would hire men off of Craigslist to fuck his mentally challenged wife who had brain damage after an accident while he sat in the corner and jacked off, and Donald Trump hired him to be his campaign manager. Make that make sense to me. Eric Metaxas and whoever this dumpy fuck is. Make that make sense. Somebody? Anybody?
phrase misinformation, to me, when I was growing up, misinformation was never used the way it is today.
Right.
Misinformation is accidental. Disinformation is on purpose.
Whenever you said something that was crazy or off base, people would say like, why are you saying that? Or who told you that? Or they'd like challenge you to prove, but now it's like misinformation. We don't even look into what you're saying.
No, they call it misinformation because somebody passed along something that someone else bullshitted them about. Disinfo becomes misinfo if you don't pay attention. That's what the fact checkers are about. You're just pretending the fact checkers don't. Why am I arguing with these guys? I can't believe it. They hooked me in every time I try to get out and they pull me back in.
I can't do it. I gotta get out. But they pull me. I want to escape. But how do you do it? Oh.
My son, I hope you get out from all this. I don't want you to be a part of this. It'll destroy your soul. You're a good boy. And I want you to be free of this. Now go get me a pint of hangin and an entire jug of chocolate syrup. I'm going to have an afternoon.
I can't watch it. I can't do it. I'm not going to watch it anymore, Pop. Nobody wants to see that.
We don't.
Shut the fuck up. All right. By the way, I love you guys. Good Lord. I will say this. As frustrating as that kind of video was to watch, and Eric Metaxas is a dopey son of a bitch, but for the record, can we all just find that what's the silver lining? What is it? What is the silver lining of this? Let me tell you. I'll tell you what the silver lining is. All these assholes can do when they get together is whine. Just whine. Boring, repetitive, dripping with self-involved, just grotesque levels of bullshit.